opportunity in India. Let me give you a brief intro about UKTI Investment, what it does, and about myself, and what are the upcoming events, and a brief, a brief on the ICT industry in India before I hand it over to my presenter. So UKTI Investment is a commercial department that helps UK businesses find right partners abroad. We in India, the ICT team in India is based out of Bangalore, and we have advisors spread across the region. I work as a trade and investment advisor from the Office of the British Deputy Commission, Chennai, and we cover the regions of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Pondicherry. Just to give you a brief on the ICT sector in India, as you know, is one of the fastest and the largest IT services market in the world. Around 52% of offshoring happens from India. Now 2014 is considered to be a year of transition, a change in India, and there is a focus on cloud computing, mobility, big data and social media in India. Now big data is expected to be around £0.5 billion by 2015 and grow by 3 times to 1.3 billion by 2018. That's a recent study done by NASSCOM, which is a software association supported by the government of India and the industry. The central and the state government in India are expected to spend more on the IT products and services. The local governments are planning to set up ventures which will create an ecosystem for startups. There is one already existing in Kerala, which is called a startup village. There is one in Chennai, which one of the local entrepreneurial association has called TI has partnered and started up. The government of Tamil Nadu is looking into various other ecosystems to have more startups. And the government, both state and the central government, are planning a lot of tax scopes, creating a lot. They are creating special economic zones, especially in the 2-tier and 3-tier city, which means not the metros like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, or Kolkata, but the smaller towns such as Coimbatore, Kochi, or other towns like Pune, where you would have more facilities coming up so that companies can do business in. Now let me tell you about some of the upcoming events that are going to happen based out of India. So you have CBIT, it's going to happen first time in India in November. You do have TICON, which is an entrepreneurial association who will do it in October and November. It's a 2-day summit, and you have some big bigs of the industries are part of it. You have a vision summit happening. Source India will also happen out of Chennai, wherein it's focused on the electronic supply chain, so it's more of a vendor development program. Now before I hand it over to my speaker, this is one fact I thought I will share with all our attendees here on big data analytics, which I found out through my research on the internet. Now analytics is not something new which is just started like half a century ago, but it was used for a path-taking discovery in 1850s. An English doctor, Dr. John Snow, who was researching on cholera outbreak in London in 1850s, used big data and analytics to find out the root cause of the cholera and help. So what he did was, till then everybody thought cholera was a airborne disease, but John Snow was not ready to accept that. So he created a map of London, wherein he put in all the places where all cholera occurred and where all the major cases of cholera occurred. He studied the whole thing. He mapped different cases, including the extreme cases. And then he zeroed in onto a pump which was there in London and found out that the cholera was happening because of the infection in the pump, which caused a bacterial infection, and that led to that spreading across that whole region because other regions were not as much affected. So with that small intro, I would like to give to my presenter, Ms. Sunaprabha, and I would like her to take over from here.
Thank you, Shrinath. Good morning, everyone. Let me begin by thanking UKTI and Sriram for having me here and for giving me this opportunity. And a special thanks to all of you for taking the time to join today. I hope you find this time usefully spent. So as Sriram was saying, today's webinar is going to be about the trends and opportunities in India relating to big data and analytics. The way I thought we will structure this discussion is, first I will spend a little bit of time on the data volumes in India. Then I will pick up a few case studies to illustrate how big data is being used in India. Then we can spend some time on what are the challenges in implementing big data or analytic solutions, and finally conclude with market opportunities. After I finish this presentation, we plan to have a Q&A session. So we will have time for this at the end. So the questions could be related to the webinar per se, or it could be related to UKTI. So accordingly, either Sriram or I will take it. So here we go. I'm sure that most of you would know that big data is to do with volume, velocity, and variety. So some of you could have some questions on your mind. How is this applicable to India? Does India have enough data volume? Does India have that kind of variety or velocity to call for some big data solutions or analytic solutions? If any of you have these questions, the answer is a definite yes. The background is like this. It all began in the year, starting from the year, say 2007, when India adopted big time to mobile phones. You see this graph here, which shows how the mobile phones subscriber accounts have grown in India year on year. You would see that since 2007, the average CAGR has been 18.3%, approximately 20%. This is unprecedented in any geography of the world. The prediction is at the end of 2014, the smartphone users in India will exceed the number in US. So it is just not the mobile phones, it is also the use of smartphones. By 2017, IDC has predicted that India will be the biggest smartphone market in the world. So with this mobile phone population, the smartphone usage growing untamed, what happened was the internet penetration also started increasing in India. This slide here will show you that out of a population of 1.2 billion, 243 million users have access to internet through mobile. If you look at this penetration percentage, just as a number by itself in comparison to the total population, it is abysmally low. Out of a population of 1.2 billion, only 200 million have access to internet on mobile. But in terms of absolute numbers, this matters a lot. To give you a perspective, in US, the number of internet users is 207 million. In China, the number is 300 million. So in terms of absolute numbers, the internet users in India is as big as what is there in the US, and it is only growing more and more. The growth percentage of internet penetration on mobile in India is 27% as compared to 4% in US. So in just another 1 or 2 years, India will become the top internet user in the world. With internet usage, you know what happens. The social media presence increases. So any social media you take, whether it is Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, you would see that India is already between UK and US. Twitter, it is predicted that by end of 2014, the number of Indian Twitter users will be 18.1 million, which will make India the largest Twitter account users. So with such a big social media presence, the quantum of data, the quantum of unstructured data that is available has grown exponentially. So this is the background of why big data has become relevant for India. This kind of a data explosion is forcing the Indian industries to start using the analytics, to start leveraging the data to gain meaningful insights for their business. So this is what actually set in motion. Okay. So with this happening, I wanted to pick up a few case studies and give you some samples of how big data and analytics are today being used in India. There are a few domains which are using this very well. There are a few domains which are lagging behind. I have picked up some samples from where it is being used heavily. Then we will also look at some areas where there is a lot of opportunity to do more. There are two domains which ushered analytics and big data into India. Those domains are, the first one is e-commerce. When the world was busy dealing with Amazon and eBay, India was having its own e-commerce sites. The first major e-commerce site in India is Flipkart. Flipkart is actually a fairy tale story. It was started by two founders with absolutely no inventory. All they had was $8,000 of investment. In mere 6 to 7 years, Flipkart has grown to be a $100 million industry. And this growth was possible because of the extensive usage of technology. Flipkart invested heavily on using technology. They built a recommendation engine, a personalized recommendation engine. So when users use Flipkart, they are provided with 4 kinds of recommendations. The first recommendation is about helping them find the product they are looking for. It's an item-to-item recommendation. So you are searching for this item, there are similar items that you might be interested in. So help find. The second recommendation Flipkart provides is help decide. So it gives them recommendations on people who were looking for this product, they finally ended up buying this product. Then the third recommendation is about completing the purchase experience. It gives recommendations on what are the associated products. If a customer is buying a camera, then there are associated products of camera. So it could be a simple memory card, or it could be a stand, or it could be a camera bag, or anything. The fourth kind of recommendation is to keep the customer interest up, create an excitement or create a wow factor by introducing him to new products that are in the market today that are in alignment with his interests. So Flipkart created a personalized recommendation engine, so which would predict the user's intent and connect him to the relevant products. And this has been the primary reason driving Flipkart's growth. To give you some context of the volume that Flipkart is handling, the product page visits in Flipkart are about 6 million per day. And the number of sessions that Flipkart handles is about 30 million per week. To get a full page index, the size of volume of data that needs to be crunched is 2 terabytes. So Flipkart uses Hadoop MapReduce to come up with these recommendations. It takes about, with the investments in technology, it takes about 2 hours to process 6 months of data. That is the kind of robust, sophisticated engine that Flipkart has got. Another e-commerce site which is making big waves in India is Snapdeal. Snapdeal is a discount coupon management store. Snapdeal is being backed by eBay, so they have invested in Snapdeal now. Again, the success of Snapdeal was to do with a personalized shopping guide that they provide for their users. This is basically a product discovery platform which takes into account the personal interest of the user, takes into account the interest of users of similar profiles, the current purchase trends. It also has future behavior prediction. It also considers that particular individual's the browsing history, and finally it comes up with a recommendation of 1,000 products out of a catalog of 5 million products. So that is the kind of breakdown they have. From 5 million, they are able to identify 1,000 products that could be of interest to the customer, and to that extent, the targeting is so sophisticated. This is what makes Snapdeal such a great platform. And the kind of volumes they are handling are 3 billion data points over 5 million users. Another e-commerce site that is gaining popularity, recently started, is Myntra.com. Myntra.com also has a recommendation engine. The differentiating factor with Myntra is it is completely cloud-based. It is a low-cost, low-maintenance, scalable data platform that they have built using Twitter Finagle, Apache Kafka, Apache Zookeeper, Amazon S3, and Amazon EMR. So completely using cloud-based technologies, they have been able to build a recommendation engine which could process 1 million users on a daily basis over 100K products. So the e-commerce domain is one which pioneered the use of analytics and big data in India. Moving on, the next domain where analytics is being heavily used is telecom. Telecom is actually a cutthroat market in India. Extremely competitive, extremely dynamic, which makes it imperative for this industry to quickly adapt to changing market trends and quickly respond to emerging business opportunities. Therefore, there is no wonder why analytics became the backbone of telecom industry. This industry had such a huge volume of data. They had customer-wise records on what is the kind of incoming calls, outgoing calls, SMS, data. So there was so much of data for them to deal with. So what these telco companies did, they created an integrated data view through which they will be able to get a 360-degree view of the customer life cycle. 360-degree view starting from the customer identification, customer acquisition, moving on to customer relationship management and customer servicing and value enhancement. So they created this 360-degree platform. This platform, this scientific approach helps them to understand, segment and improve their marketing campaigns. And consequently, they were able to serve their customers also better. The analytics platform also made available to them some low-level KPIs. They were able to get device-wise revenue. They were able to get what they call as ARPU, average revenue per user. They were able to analyze rotational churn. They were able to find the age on the network. So all these information were available for them, and which helped them create meaningful campaigns. They were able to come up with campaigns which will address specific population segments. So Vodafone, you might be able to recognize Vodafone. Vodafone today is able to analyze and launch 5,000 campaigns per day. They are able to use unstructured data from social media along with structured data, and they are able to gain insights on customer behavior, customer preferences, service experience, etc., etc. With the result, they are able to create best fit plans, they are able to come up with affluence and influence scores, and they are also able to proactively identify problems that the customer is facing. So it could be something related to network latency, or it could be something related to call drop rates. They are able, without the customer reporting these problems, they are able to identify these on their own and fix it. So which is helping them in delivering better customer experience. So this is what Vodafone does on the analytics side. The other famous telecom player in India is Airtel. Airtel has this beautiful plan called My Airtel, My Offer. Using predictive diagnostics, what they have done is they have been able to identify a customized plan for each customer. To just give you some data volumes that Airtel is handling, Airtel has about 100 million subscribers who make about 3 billion calls per day. So Airtel is able to analyze this kind of data and come up with individual focused plan for each one of its customers. And the beauty is really that Airtel is able to keep this, deliver these suggestions to the customer across multiple delivery channels consistently. When I say multiple delivery channels, they have about 20,000 call center representatives, they have million plus retail partners, and they have IVR, SMS, any channel that the customer has access to, he will get consistently the same information on what is the best plan for them. There are two other telecom players, Reliance Communications and Airtel, who have also extensively leveraged analytics. Based on their segmentation at a granular level, they have been able to come up with geography-specific products. They have been able to have analyzed and come up with good policies on usage and retention. So all in all, though the market is so competitive, analytics has helped all these telecom players grow by leaps and bounds. So this is one of the reasons why the mobile phone usage is becoming so much better in India. So this is on telecom. So other than these two domains, there are a few other domains which leverage analytics quite well. One example I wanted to take is on the retail front, especially on the automobile industry. So for automakers, for their strategy and for better efficiency, they use analytics quite well. One example is Maruti Suzuki. Maruti is actually India's largest car maker. They have about 9 million customers, and they have data collected for these customers starting from their sales origin, their services, and throughout their engagement. Maruti has been able to analyze this data, and to an extent that they are able to set sales targets, sales from leveraging analytics. So they are able to set specific targets for sales and achieve it. To give you an example, using analytics, Maruti is able to identify the family size of the customer. Maruti is able to find out when the customer is due for changing the car. He is able to find out if the customer is a college-going child, which means there is an opportunity for a second car. So using all these information, Maruti has been, when Maruti launched their new car, e-Eco van, they were able to send direct mailers, and they were able to get a sales conversion ratio of 9%. The normal, in this industry, the normal mailer conversion ratio is just about 1%. So you can see how analytics is creating a difference here. The other example I wanted to talk about is Hero Motors. Hero Motors is the world's biggest two-wheeler motorcycle manufacturer based in India. Hero Motors has a dealer management system called Hero Connect. This system has data from 12 million customers, and all these systems are completely integrated so that when a vehicle is brought for service, they will be able to clearly say which part is under warranty, which part is not under warranty. There is an automated online check. Hero Motors also uses social media analytics. Through this, they are able to get the pulse of the customer, which is helping them strategize their product development. So, the other company I wanted to take as a case study, especially on auto retail, is Mahindra Deva. There is a very interesting story about this company. One day, a customer service person from Mahindra Deva, he called up a customer and said, this certain part in your car is going to break down in a few days. If you are able to bring your car to the service center, we will replace it free of cost for you. The customer got spooky. How do you know that this part will fail in my car? I don't believe you. He did not take up the offer. A few days later, the car did have problem. So the customer brought the car to the service center, and to his surprise, the part was kept ready for him. So in a few minutes, they were able to fix the problem, and the customer was so delighted. So this is the kind of analytics that Mahindra Deva is using. So it is a combination of telematics and regular analytics through which they are able to come up with analytics-based prognostics. So they are able to predict, diagnose, and resolve problems upfront for their customers. This not only saves service time, the resolution time, but it also saves the huge amount of service manpower for Mahindra Deva. So these are some innovative ways in which the auto industry is using analytics. I have two more domains to cover. The fourth one is sports and entertainment. We all know FIFA just included. We all know how analytics played a big role in FIFA. Yeah, but a similar thing is happening in India too. One example is in-game analytics. I know about a firm which is building an application in India which would help, this is primarily meant for cricket, so which would help someone decide on the team selection, which would help them strategize how they have to play their game. What happens if they win the task? Should they bat first? Should they field first? What happens if they lose a task? So they are able to, who has to bowl the last over? All these kind of strategies they are able to take using these in-game analytics. Congruence was actually involved in developing an application which would help cricket fans keep in touch during the time the game is on. So it used to come up with player-to-player analytics, some game predictions, so the fans will be able to participate in those predictions and debate with the other fans. So we had the privilege of developing an application like this. So similar to NBA, similar to National Football League or Women's Tennis Association, you might have heard of Kolkata Knight Riders, which is the team owner in IPL T20. This team, they used SAP HANA Analytics. They used the auction analytics from SAP, and they used Lumira, which is a data visualization product from SAP. Using these tools, they were able to come up with who should be part of their team. They were able to decide upfront at the time of auction itself, who are those 19 players who will be part of this Kolkata Knight Riders. And during the course of the game also, they were able to use this analytics to strategize from game to game. And finally, they went on to become the champions of this IPL league. The other interesting scenario in entertainment area is on Chennai Express. Chennai Express is a Bollywood movie. Shah Rukh Khan and Deepika Padukone, they starred in this movie. The way they use social media analytics and big data analytics to make Chennai Express a box office hit, that is actually one of its kind. They used analytics to drive their social media campaign. They were able to monitor the social media, tweets, the Facebook usage, and they were able to make adjustments to the campaign. They were able to analyze sentiments. They were able to do this mood analysis. They were able to, because of all these inputs, they were able to keep the hashtag, the Twitter hashtag of Chennai Express. It was the longest trending top hashtag in India for 10 days after this movie was launched, and it was also, for most part of the time, it was also the world's top trending hashtag. As compared to, there were also a few Hollywood movies that were releasing at the same time. Competing against those, by using analytics, they were able to keep the social media campaign going so good, which was actually driving the box office collection of this movie. So I feel there are great examples here. Finally, this is the last domain I want to take up on the governance side. You know, the parliament elections in 2014, the recently concluded parliament elections, it registered two irreversible trends in India. One is a very large young voter base, and the second one is how technology was used during these elections. We are aware of Obama's 2008 presidential election, which became a role model for how social media is to be used. India went one step further. They combined social media and big data analytics to drive their election campaign. So BJP, the party which won the election, it made use of SAP, and it also made use of big data analytics. Using these two, it was able to do political event tracking. It was able to generate inputs for the campaigns. It was able to identify influencer rankings. And it was able to do target mobile advertisements. So they were able to come up with customized campaigns. They were able to come up with innovative voter engagement models. People search was one of the models which was derived from the social media analytics, and the results are visible to everyone. To give you the complexity of this operation, the number of voters in India is 800 million. Just to give a small perspective, the number of voters in US is 200 million, and the number of voters in UK is 46 million. So you can imagine the kind of volume that had to be processed. They had booth-wise, electoral booth-wise analysis that was done using the social media analytics. And also imagine the complexity added by the language. They had to process electoral rolls in 12 Indian languages. So we had, this is definitely a pioneering analytics in India. The other example I wanted to present was about Aadhaar. Aadhaar is a unique identification scheme launched by India in the last 3 years, something similar to the national insurance number that you have in UK or the SSN number in US. So we had big plans of assigning this UID to every Indian citizen. This database is about 600 to 800 million unique identification IDs. So the generation process itself is so tedious, and once a UID is generated, it is used for authentication. So there were about 100 million authentications that had to be done per day. So whenever the user ID, the unique ID is generated, it had to be propagated to each authentication site, and they use analytics for this completely. So these are some of the examples I wanted to present for to show how big data is being used in India. But it does not mean that all is going great. We do have challenges in implementing analytics. Some of the challenges I thought of, the first one is data is in silos. So there is no one single source where we can get a handle on the data. Data is in multiple locations, so much undigitized content. For any analytics to be meaningful, all of these have to be extracted, made sense of, which makes the operations mammoth and extremely complex. The other complexity is data across multiple languages. So for all those data to be brought into one single language platform to do any meaningful analysis, it is quite a task. The third biggest hurdle is the decision-making culture itself in India. You know, in India, decisions are taken not always based on data. There are emotional reasons, there are political reasons, there are personal reasons. So for people to actually look at the data and make decisions, bringing in that culture itself is a big problem in India. The fourth one is operational readiness. Even though big data is so extensively talked about, if you take the CIO survey, there is still a lot of confusion on what is their understanding of big data, what big data can do for them. So their readiness to start using analytics, that is still low. You might have heard of this network readiness index. It is a globally computed index considering the environment, considering the ease of doing business. So there are a lot of factors which are taken into account in coming up with this rank. If you look at the global rank, India is at the 83rd position. So which clearly shows that there is still some way to go for India. Then in terms of service providers, there are quite a lot of service providers in India who specialize in analytics. Last year there were about 50 startups in India focusing only on analytics. But many of them are focused on providing services to foreign markets. There are only a few who are focused on Indian market. So this lack of domestic focus is being an inhibiting factor in the promotion of analytics. And globally this is true, talent availability. Big data being a new, completely a new kind of paradigm. Data scientist is almost a new terminology on the job profile. So there is still a lot of confusion on what is a data scientist, what are his qualifications. It is very hard to find people who know the domain, who have the statistics background. So talent availability is going to be a big problem in servicing analytics. So these are some challenges. Nevertheless, I think the predictions are extremely good. If you look at 2011, in 2011, the prediction was that in India, the BA revenue will increase only 16% and India's share of the global market would be only 0.6%. This was as of 2011. But if you look at the prediction today, it says that India will be as big as the US market by 2018. India will double its size and the market potential will be 1.35 billion. There is also tremendous growth possibility in the domestic market. So there is going to be 96 million. Where this opportunity will come from, my opinion is that in addition to the domains which are leveraging big data quite well today, that will continue to grow, but we will see big data being used extensively on these domains also. Education, there is a lot of scope for using analytics. School dropout analytics is one big problem that can be solved. In healthcare, there are a few initiatives that are happening. We are able to predict disease outbreak. There are some analytics going on, finding the right type of drug for cancer treatment. So some initiatives are being taken in healthcare, but there is no big time initiative. Governance, with this kind of population that India has, there is a lot that could be done using analytics in governance. Again, in agriculture, it could be weather prediction, or it could be advice on what crop to cultivate, the seasonal changes. All those will be possible using big data. there are a few germs that are, a few seeds that are being solved today, but we will see the results coming out in the future. In terms of technology, I think these will be the areas where there will be a big demand. In-memory analytics is becoming very popular in India, and visualization software, especially since the mobile internet usage is so much, visualization software coming up with very crisp dashboards and presenting the analytics results in a form that could be easily understood, that is gaining a lot of popularity in India. In terms of analytics platform per se, Hadoop is quite popular, given that it is an open source. The investments are not much. Hadoop is very widely used, and SAP analytics is being used by a lot of industries. So we think that these will be the areas where there will be a lot of growth. And whatever is marked as double star, these are areas where Congruent as an organization has had personal experience, and these are our centers of excellence. So with this, I finish this session. I once again thank you for taking the time to join. I hope you find the session informative as well as interesting. So I'll hand over to Sriram now. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Sriram. Now we'll throw the floor open for Q&A, and I think Jill can take over from here, and she would moderate the Q&A session.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a couple of questions in. The first one is, who are the current major players?
Okay. The big 5 IT companies in India, all of them have got a lot of analytics case studies to talk about. I'm talking about Wipro, TCS, HCL, Cognizant. But in addition to this, there are quite a few companies which are only focused on analytics. There are companies which are domain-specific focus on analytics. There are companies which have engines which could be applied across any domain. So one example is Persistence Systems. The company which was helping in the election campaign is Modak Analytics. So there are quite a lot of analytics specialized players in India today.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Yogesh, and it says, are there likely to be opportunities in the defense and security domains?
Oh yes, definitely. I read one case study which said that analytics could be used for helping India's security. With a lot of border issues and with a lot of tension in the world as such, analytics could be very heavily relied upon to decide the troop movement, to decide the investments that have to go into the defense. There are a lot of case studies, there are a lot of white papers that are available today, but nothing has been taken up and nothing is being acted on. But I think we will see this changing in some time soon. But there is quite a lot of possibility of using analytics in defense.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Simon. With such a huge IT workforce in India, where are the specific opportunities for UK companies to obtain business?
Okay. I was talking about the market predictions. So the analytics market in India is really huge. I would say the market is up for grabs. But there are a few players who are coming in to solve India-specific problems. Many of the players today are focused on solving problems for US or UK or whatever. So we need people who can understand India's problems, and they should be able to come in with that domain knowledge as well as the technology knowledge. So if there is a combination, then I think that those people will be able to make a big difference in India. But if anyone has any plans for coming into India, I would say that the time is now. So this is the time when you have to make that entry. So this is with the new government is coming in, and there is going to be a lot of focus on analytics. with all the predictions that we are seeing, I believe that this is the right time for people to make entry into India, and if they are able to bring in the domain and technology experience together, that would be a big value add for them.
Thank you.
All the domains I have listed, healthcare, education, all those are areas to explore.
Okay, our next question is from Nitish. In health domain, no measures seem to have happened in terms of analytics. What forces you to see the scope of big data analytics in India?
Sorry, I couldn't get that question. Could you please repeat for me?
Yes, certainly. The question is written, in health domain, nothing measures seem to have happened in terms of analytic. So I believe it's referring to the health domain. What forces you to see the scope of big data in India?
Okay. It is not that nothing is being done in the health domain. I am aware of there is Arogya Biotech, which is doing a lot of genome-based analytics. This is a company which is also doing research on how to find the right drug for cancer treatment. Today, I believe that the number of, it happens on a trial and error basis, and it takes about 31 days to identify the right drug. This Arogya Biotech, they have proved that in 7 days they will be able to identify the right drug. And considering the seriousness of the disease, it is such a vast improvement. So this is one thing. And the second thing is, there is this application called KGB. KGB stands for, I think, Kanda, garbage, something like that. So this is basically a social media platform where users will be, anyone will be able to take a photograph if they see a garbage dump somewhere, if they see polluted water somewhere. All that they have to do is take a snapshot and post it on the social media. So this company, this application keeps track of those postings, using which they are able to predict disease outbreak in that particular area. So there are quite a lot of initiatives in healthcare. Pandemic control, Sriram talked about this example, but this is also being practiced in India. So it is not that nothing is happening in India. There is a lot that is being done. I am also aware of one other company which is collecting patient-specific information. This is happening in North India. So they send their people to villages and they get the health parameters of every individual, using which they are able to predict the diseases they are prone to. They are able to predict when they need a health checkup. So there is a lot being done. It is just that we are not, it's not getting publicized.
Okay, thank you. We have a next question is from Abdul. How is big data analytics helpful in the education domain?
Okay. So education domain, one area where it could definitely help is see the trend of where skills will be required. I was saying that there is a talent shortage on the analytics side. If there had been some analytics which could have predicted this, then there is possibly we could have acted upon it. So predictions on skills requirement, predictions on school dropout, that's a study which is going on, how to use analytics in restricting the school dropout. So these are some areas where I am able to think of in education domain.
Thank you. And we have another question that is related to the first question regarding who were the major players. But this question is, who are the big players, product companies, not IT services, specifically for telco?
Okay. If you want specific names, we have worked with a company based in Chennai called Positive Integers, which does a lot of telecom-related analytics. There are quite a few. I'm not able to think of any other company right away, but I can come back to you with answers. So I am aware of the products that are being used. So if you are interested, Airtel is using Teradata, Vodafone and other companies are using Hadoop and Mongo. So any company which is usually the way it happens is the technology company brings its technology experience and the telco companies work together to bring in that domain experience. So this is how it happens in India. I'm not aware of any particular product company other than this Positive Integers, but I can find out and let you know. So,
thank you.
I think we can take only one more question considering the time frame.
Lovely. Okay.
So we can take one more question if you have, and rest I think they can email it to us and we would get back to them.
Thank you. The last question that we have here is, where are the big data trends in India?
Yeah, big data trends in India, it is domain specific. I think we covered it during the presentation also. Retail, I talked about e-commerce and telecom. There is one other domain which is using big data heavily, which is BFSI. So lot of banks, HDFC, ICICI. So all these banks are leveraging big data extremely well. So they are able to promote their bank schemes and other things. So BFSI is one area where there is going to be a lot of usage. Retail is the second area where we will see big data being used heavily.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And just to close today's webinar, thank you so much for everybody for attending. Once you leave today, you will receive a survey on the presentation, and we would appreciate if you could complete that and provide your feedback. You will also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view the recording of today's webinar. On behalf of UKTI and our presenters, thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.